Welcome home to Tall Poppy, the home for entrepreneurs of flourishing upstarts and startups. And today we have Annie Swet and Rachel Jordan of Abundant House. And this is our second half of our initial interview with them. Enjoy.
We're just teachers at heart, and it's a big part of our vision to continue to provide education for, it's not even homeschooled, it's just self-taught filmmakers. So, it's things that I wish had been available to me when we were learning, because there was nothing. There's a lot out there now besides what I'm doing. But when I started filmmaking, there was nothing, and I really needed something, because I was always like, I know there's more that I need to get better at, but I don't know what it is. And that's always a major block in any learning process, is when you just don't know.
And to be self-taught, you have to have self-initiative, and then it's like self-discipline and self-responsibilities to own your potential there. You were saying that education is an important part to all of you in this Abundant House film entity. What else is important to you?
We're narrowing down more and more, but a lot of what's important to us is to be putting out content that we don't see other people making.
And can you give us an example?
Well, back up slightly to Weeping Willow. After we made it, we realized that it was a lot more violent and less thought through than we wanted it to be. Like, we kind of had a little bit of a message when we started writing, but it didn't come through in the actual film. And we kind of started to realize that if this was what we were going to be known for, we didn't really want that. So part of what we've been doing since then is kind of finding what we do want to say and the direction we do want to go, and being really thoughtful and purposeful about that. And so what we've kind of felt was missing was interesting adventure, sci-fi, action, things that were really fun and entertaining for kids, teenagers, who had similar moral restrictions that we had when we were kids. So just, not a lot of swearing, not a lot of sexual content, not a lot of violence or not necessarily violence, but just unmotivated violence for no reason.
Right.
Really gory.
It seems like with Descent there was a character lesson there, or an example of character that you were exploring.
Yeah.
And Descent, for all of you out there, seems to be a merging of your love of teaching, because that was during a 5-day masterclass for teenagers and young 20s that you held for how to make a film. And so you got all these people in together, and then they crafted the script and recorded it. And how short is that movie?
It's 7 minutes, I think, without credits.
Yeah. So our film intensive, what we want to do with that is provide an on-set experience. So we spend 2 days in class.
So you're giving back what you got.
Exactly.
Right.
In press form.
So we filmed Descent for 2 days, but pre-production leading up to that was much longer. So we control basically all aspects of the film. So the film is ours and what we want to say, but the students who attend the class get to be there, and they get to rotate around the positions with the people who are actually doing the film. So it's not that the film is created by the students necessarily, but they get to experience being a part of a project that's much bigger than what they've been able to do before.
And hopefully give them vision
and
ideas.
also that those experience in those different parts gives them a larger context of how each role fits into the whole.
Yes, exactly.
And how it's important to get that job done right when it's needed to. So
exactly. Yeah. Because that's really like when we were working on 10 Decades, that's not exactly what happened, but that's kind of like the education that we experienced was, oh, I didn't even know that job existed, and I see how totally integral they are to making this happen. And there's just a lot of behind the scenes jobs that you never hear about unless you're in the industry already. And so we just wanted to kind of expose some of that and talk about that with other young filmmakers who are in the same boat that we were, which is I've learned as much as I know how to learn with where I'm at right now. I need something that exposes me to a much wider range that I can learn from.
So you're back, you started it in 2013, and that was, so was it Abundant House then?
No, it was Rogue Zohu. And that was literally, we're making a Hunger Games fan film, we need a name at the beginning. And so I think we spent about a week talking about a name, and that's what we came
Names
up
are
with.
important.
It is, but it
Yeah.
wasn't something that we put a lot of thought into.
And we
'cause
also
were just like,
realized
we need it for the movie.
We realized that we needed branding and a website because we realized that the festival that we had made it for was much smaller than it was capable of being entered into. So we entered it into
Several
film festivals.
But we had money for it at the
Yeah.
time.
Right. And how many of them did you win or place?
We won a Best Found Film at FilmQuest, and we were entered
Nominated in the Tacoma Film Festival, and
I don't remember what.
was it SIF or STIF?
I think we were in STIFF. Yeah. Just the Seattle Transmedia International Film Festival.
Stiff is very good for a zombie.
Yeah.
So how many awards or how many competitions have you placed in altogether now with all of your films?
Well, that's still out
Yeah, that's
to be
like,
seen because we
yeah.
just put Descent out to a whole bunch of festivals.
Oh, excellent.
And it's already, we're hearing back
yeah.
about it.
We heard that we're nominated for several things in the Southern Shorts Festival. So that's really special because they give you judges' comments and lots of things to learn from, which we always love
Very
that.
helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
So being a writer, that you know, when you enter those competitions,
Yeah.
you get the feedback.
Yeah, I believe we placed fourth in the
Sci-fi category?
sci-fi category at the Southern Shorts Festival, and then
Nominated in 5 other categories.
yeah, and then Max/us has won several LCC awards, which is more of a fan collective kind of award.
So there's all these little genres in these areas
Yes.
that YouTube has created these platforms so that, you know, like the lightsaber, you know,
Yeah.
followers, that would not have been available. And so you've got this whole world out there that you can actually create your own niche.
Yes.
So do you think that that's what you're going to be trying to do, is creating your own? Do you have any competitors out there in what you're doing, in the format you're doing, which is sort of like short movie making, for that area that you're exploring, for sci-fi with a message, adventurous still?
Yeah. I don't know of any. But
But-
it's also, YouTube is huge, and so
Maybe.
you never know.
So there could
Who's
be
out
lots
there.
of people that we just haven't found.
So you're not aware of much competition for what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, and
It's
honestly,
actually
we're not
been-
really looking.
Yeah, because we're still educating ourselves, and we're still growing in what we want to do. We do want to move into longer films.
Yeah.
And
And what's holding you back from the longer films? Money?
yeah,
Yep.
it kind of is, because there's a huge budget difference between a 10-minute film and a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
And it's also where our lives are at the time.
Right.
Like, that's months or years of our lives, and we just haven't been in a position.
So what would the multiple be, do you think, going from 10 minutes, and I'm talking about like, so how much time on average, because now you've made 82 movies, how much time on average goes into making a 10-minute clip?
Yeah, it depends.
It really depends on what's in that 10-minute clip.
Some of what's there, a lot of it is my educational videos, which I spend about a week on each.
Okay.
Some of it is just experimental short films where we're like, hey, we got these people, we got this prop, we're gonna go shoot something right now, and it's not anything put together. For our short films that we put money into and we get crews and that sort of thing, it's about 4 months at least. Descent was 8 months.
And that was the 7
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
7 minutes.
So,
But the reason is there's a whole bunch of completely CGI shots, and they
And
just
that was
takes
what
months.
I was really curious about that, because the set was very simple, but it was still extremely effective, and
Thank
it
you.
did not seem very out of place for what you see out of Alien or Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Or anything
Yes.
else.
Yeah,
And the wardrobe.
Yes, we're
That was
Tiana.
Kiana
Blanchard.
Very nice. Just very nice.
yes. That's something that we've been building the last couple years. So obviously we've done a couple film intensive, those 5-day classes. Half of our goal with those is, yes, to just provide education to whoever wants it, but it's also we're looking for people who we want to work with and who we would like to train, because we have kind of a high bar for it. They have to be self-initiated, they have to be
They
And
have
we
to
like you.
Yeah, we have kind of an ethos that we want around our crews, which is they need to be self-initiated, they need to be okay with failing, they need to be responsible, teachable.
they need to be part of the team too.
Yeah, and have a really an interest in what we're doing and an interest in being a part of the team that we would like to create, which is, I think, a little bit hard to find, because we've been kind of exploring that in the homeschool community, and it's not even all homeschoolers
Yes.
have those qualities.
It's a hard character set to find for any task
Right.
at all.
Right.
Have you thought of, and this just came to me, have you thought of reaching out to some of the veterans that have come back? And
Yeah, we have.
I mean, that just came to me as people who know how to follow instructions, who know how to get the job done, that know that it has to get done, and you can't just sort of walk off at 3 o'clock because you feel like it, but also give them something that is encouraging and inspiring.
Yeah, we work with, one of the people we've worked with a lot actually is Jerry Bucksbaum. He owns Mystery Ridge Movie Ranch here in Coeur d'Alene. And he's been really wonderful to work with, because that's exactly the case. Is
it what he does?
He's a professional stuntman.
Oh.
And he worked in LA for a long time, and he's
worked on a lot of movies.
Yeah, worked on a lot of movies, and that's actually where we shot Descent. He has a big green screen studio in Coeur d'Alene. So we built our set in his studio and did a lot of our other shots in there.
So talking about people who, and those resources, with any industry, especially in a smaller town, you've got these organizations where they're together, and you've got these recognized experts that have come in, and these organizations build up around them, and then they can get rather cliquey. And then there's not much breathing room for startups and individuals to sort of just pop up and do their own thing. Do you think, are you involved with those groups, or do you just go off and do your own thing and not worry about those
For
entities?
the most part, that's kind of what we're doing, because really...
they're not as encouraging as people would like to think they are, especially those in the organizations.
I think they're encouraging when you meet them. It's encouraging to meet people who are doing stuff and just talk about it with them, and they're open to that, but it doesn't actually go anywhere a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. We're interested in going somewhere, and so we're looking for the serious people.
So you're making your own path. You're not waiting on permission or...
Yeah.
No, and we have a whole crew in our family, and so that's been something that we've been really grateful for. Is there are a lot of people that we've met who do really cool stuff, but there's just one of them, and they're always looking for people, and that's always holding them back, as they don't have the human resources to do what they want to do. And it's been very easy for us.
Have you thought of maybe making yourselves available to other entities that are filming, and then you become a talent finder of your own group?
I think one day we will probably be that in a sense, but it's what's ended up happening is through our friends and family and through the film intensives, we have a rather large database of young filmmakers in their early 20s and younger who are really excited to work with each other. And so what happens is we have all these little pockets of filmmakers who are working together, and then every now and then we're like, let's do something, guys, and we all kind of work on one big thing. Or, you know, somebody else says, let's do something, guys, and they all kind of work on that one big thing. And like, we don't really have enough people yet to do like a really big feature or enough like really skilled young people, but we're getting close to being able to do a small feature with just people that we've trained or have known for a really long time. And
so if anyone's out there and they're doing a lot of the CGI and they're interested in doing effects in their, you know, on their computer in the basement, but they need to reach out and acquire those connections, exactly what you were talking about and you've built up. Would you be interested in them contacting you?
Sure, yeah. We get emails like that all the time, actually.
To see about partnering and you know, just you never know. You're right.
Yeah, and really like one of the best ways to kind of experience who we are and what we do, and for us to experience who you are and what you do, is to come to a film intensive, because you get to be a part of everything for 5 days. We get to see how you actually work in a pressure situation. We get to see how you learn. We get to kind of experience what you like to do, hear from you. It's a very interactive experience. We talk a lot with the students. It's a kind of
and
small
charge
class.
for that, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
Well, you have to.
We have to, but it's a 5-day class. And the last one we held, we had students from all over the country come, and we only have 13 students. Wait, was it 13 or no, 15?
We have a cap at 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great that they came from all over the country. So it's Gary V, you know, this is the interesting part for me, is that did you know that you are at the wave edge, the crest of the wave, for this brand new phenomenon that is making TV redundant?
I don't think we really thought about it that much.
No.
It's always been, we're just doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
But you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and he's talking about, you know, CBS, ABC, those TV channels are probably not going to be around really in 5 years' time, because live streaming and Amazon TV and Google and YouTube are coming in and actually buying the license, well, trying to buy the licenses to do the football or the hockey or the basketball. And you've got everyone's going towards these platforms like YouTube. And there's others that are now starting to spring up. Yeah. So do you sometimes stop and think about you being in this wave of change?
I think we've thought about a different wave. Maybe not necessarily that
what,
wave.
What wave is that?
Well, we were honestly really inspired by watching the behind-the-scenes content for The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yes.
It's like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Been there, done that many times.
Yes.
Gold
So good.
for young filmmakers.
Yes.
The details.
Right. But one of the things that we were really inspired by was like that production brought world-class level companies to New Zealand that weren't there before. You know, Weta Workshop went from being something very small to something that is very big now. And they did it in New Zealand because they wanted to do it in New Zealand. And we don't want to be in LA to do what we want to do. And so we just kind of decided we're just going to do it wherever we actually want to be, which is currently this area.
Well, the Willow one, you could see why. Those ferns and everything, it's similar to New Zealand, but you can see why it's beautiful up in the Pacific Inland Northwest.
Yeah, and we're really, like, we're low budget, no budget filmmakers currently, and the way you kind of do things to move forward is you work with what you have.
So in that vein, you started off with just what you cobbled together from mum and dad and the video camera and the computers. what investment has come into it, and where did it come from?
Most of it's been our own money.
Yeah.
Obviously, with a lot of gear, like you said, our dad is very interested in tech, and he has been very generous and
We get a lot of gear for Christmas and
updating.
birthdays.
Yeah, he bought our first big Mac that we did a ton of editing on.
Our parents bought our first DSLR.
Because it's just a continuation of the way that we.
And what software do you use now?
Premiere for editing.
Yeah.
So mostly Adobe products.
Adobe, yeah.
We started in Final Cut. But
Product placement?
yeah. So, it's just a continuation of everything they did that when we were little kids. We wanted to do an art project. We got art supplies. But it's fueling the interest. And so most of the money has come from... We got a grant one time for one of our films, and that was...
Lizzie and Annie pitched for a grant, and they got...
So what was that like? Because that's great experience.
They blew it out of the water.
Yeah. No.
What was that?
They blew it out of the water.
It was very interesting because in some ways as homeschoolers, we haven't had as much interaction, which is the world. But that didn't really matter because we have a lot of real life experience, and so tackling that was really easy for us, but it was learning a lot of new things. But since it was a young...
And what things did you have to learn?
Making presentation, what people are looking for when you're trying to pitch something to them. Just, we knew how to present ourselves because we've been acting. And
whether you're homeschooled or in a normal school, came from a normal school, we all have to do that, and each pitch is different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But learning how to do the research for how to do a pitch, or learning how to do the research for who you're pitching is what I think specifically you were learning.
And but because it was a Young Filmmakers Award, I think the cap was 19, you had to be 19 or younger. We did have a lot on the other kids who were entering because we'd already made stuff and we'd already been doing it for years, and we came in, we had a storyboard, we had a script, we had a plan, and there was other people who was like, I think we could do something like this. That was their pitch. And so it was really easy, it seemed like,
for that particular
pitch and project, it was like, here's our plan. And that was it. It was really easy.
So as you're moving ahead, what are your plans for growing? And so in the next year, next 5 years, where would you like to be?
We'd like to be making features. And we want to be in charge of what we do, so we don't want to move to LA. We don't want to be
compromised by the backers.
Yeah. We want to have total control over what we're doing.
We want to be partnering with people who have a similar vision. So
that's true.
It's not necessarily that we have to do everything ourselves, but we do need to be.
There has to be an alignment.
Right. Yeah. And we need to have the power to say no to certain things.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you, with that pitching practice that you've had once, that's still a good start. Have you considered going to pitch to investors for your next step?
We're starting to get ready for that because our issue has always been we haven't had a project to pitch yet. You actually have to have something to pitch.
Right.
And we have a lot of ideas, but it takes a while for us to settle on which one, especially because there's so many of us. We all have to agree on what we're going to do, and it has to be something that we're all excited about and is filled with learning opportunities for us. That's one of our main criteria, is how we start is what do we all want to learn, and then we build something around that. So we just haven't had something feature length to work on, and so that's what we're doing right now. We're developing a feature to start pitching and start getting financing for, to do the next level of this feature.
Do you have an idea of where you'll go to pitch to get the financing, or is that you're not? So you're going to give this thing a lot more form, more body. Yeah. Then will you decide, or then explore where you go, or do you have a fairly good idea where you go now?
I have a okay idea of where you go. One of the things that we're going to try and do is be really specific about the marketability of what we're making. So,
and the marketability
being something that would be an easy yes for a distributor. So what we would like to do.
Distributor would be.
A distributor is the company that actually gets a film to an audience.
So you're looking outside. So you're going back into. You're going to leave the social media platforms and go mainstream into the movie theaters.
Probably not into theaters.
Netflix?
What we're looking for is more Netflix, Amazon Prime
Streaming,
level.
right?
Yeah. Because there's this really wide gap between doing short films on YouTube and having a mainstream film. So kind of a lot of the research and we've been talking with other people who've kind of made that jump.
And what resources do you need to make that jump to, say, Netflix stream or?
You need to have enough money to make something that they would be willing to buy.
And do you need money for the placement on that platform?
No, that's where the distributor comes in. So the distributor is the one who would get you on that platform, and then your negotiation with the distributor is how much of the profits you, the filmmaker, are going to receive from that, or whether they were going to buy the film outright from you. There's that's the distribution deal.
And then do you need any
that's
legal
very
help
tricky.
with that as well?
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So that's all a huge learning process ahead of us. Having never done that before.
More little how-to films for you to do.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot with a friend who's in the process of doing this right now, and just kind of learning from him what his challenges have been and what he's learning as he's doing it, which we're very grateful for. Anytime you can be a part of someone else's learning journey who's a step ahead of you, it's
And this
gold.
is what this is for.
Yeah.
So as you're moving ahead, and do you have a timeline for this?
We'd like to be shooting our first feature next year, probably at the end of next year, beginning of 2020. So within the next 5 years, we hope to have a fully completed product.
So you're patient.
Already out.
Film is a long-term game. Like, it really is. And there are a lot of people, I think, who go into it like, yeah, you put a bunch of money in, you make a fun movie, you sell it, and you have money. And it's a long-term investment into what you're doing.
So what are you sacrificing? Do you see that you have to sacrifice anything doing what you love?
Well, I think definitely for the first feature, you might be sacrificing getting paid and putting a lot more hours into it than you would charge if you were, working on somebody else's project.
Right.
So we're definitely anticipating that, just giving a lot of our time. And I have a 7-month-old at home, and you're going to have a little one in May. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So being
And
young
so-
moms is
So this
just
is
going to be a
interesting
lot of
because
time.
I was a mom that would, haul my little girl around with me to all these oil and gas companies because I didn't have a babysitter, couldn't afford one. And I thought that she was the best thing since sliced bread, and they had to think the same thing too. And she in turn learnt more than you could imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Kids absorb so much that adults have lost touch with. And I thought that she was an asset. And it wasn't because I was imposing her upon and not being professional. I was not being unprofessional. I was being very professional about it and still solving problems and, doing what I could. But that was my reality. So how do you see having babies?
It's going to be a challenge, that's for sure. Obviously, we're very family-oriented.
So you're not going to get any pushback from anyone about incorporating your children into these activities?
I don't think, no.
Right.
And if we do, it's going to be something that we have to talk about and deal with because, that's just going to keep happening. We're just going to keep having kids and keep bringing them into our life. This is our life, and I think it's one of the hugest benefits of working together is we're all on the same page about that. And
I think this is marvelous because you're not intimidated about, having your babies there and you're not creating the roadblocks and no one else is creating the roadblocks. You don't even see that there's any roadblocks.
Not really.
And I never saw that there was any roadblocks. It was just I had to do it.
The
And
roadblocks for
if anyone
me
else
would
has a
be-
problem, it's their problem.
The roadblock is
if the kids are not okay with it. Like,
or like you have to be quiet on set, so maybe they can't be like
we got a
on
French
set,
bulldog
on set
here.
all the time. But
Yeah.
But we want them to be a part of our lives and a part of our process. They're not separate from that, and they shouldn't be.
No, I don't think so. I think they can be integrated, and
Yeah.
what a marvelous upbringing. Because
Yeah.
there was a time when we used to be with our parents a lot more, as we discussed earlier on. And so if anyone was out there and interested in backing you, you're welcome to hear from them.
for
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what the size of the budget, what you're looking for to be funded? And you do have to pay yourself.
yes,
Because you have
we
a
need
value.
we need to pay ourselves enough to live on and have
make up for the time.
make up for the
At
time
least
spent.
some of the time. That we're
But
putting
we
into it.
understand that the first one is your time is your investment into it.
Your first feature is a proof of.
Concept, right.
It's not even the concept. It's just
Proof
your
of your
own,
marketability.
Yeah, that you
the
can
proof
do
that
it.
you can make
You're
something
gonna
that
follow
can sell.
through.
Yeah, in the long run. And so what future distributors are looking at is your track record. And so your first one is your track record. So if that means putting in extra time,
So you see the 82 that are there now, and you're going to be producing more in the meantime,
As we can.
as you can.
Yeah.
Is that you see that as almost like a totally different genre, that distributors won't even look at that. They won't look at those 82, that you actually have to sort of almost start fresh.
Not necessarily. It really depends on the distributor, and like all distributors have a different niche that they are a part of. And so if the feature that we're making next doesn't really match our sci-fi stuff, who knows? We need to be talking with the right distributor for the right film. And
So are you going to be
developing a
incorporating the
relationship
skill
there.
sets of interest, like with Max's lightsaber abilities and love, and all of your other skill sets and experience? You see that they're going to be carried forward into this big initial feature length
We're
film?
probably going to be making something a little bit more, I don't know what to say about that, a little bit more family friendly, a little bit more.
Not totally in the niche that we want to be in. We want to be in action. We want to be in adventure.
yeah, but those are very expensive to make. So we're looking at something lower budget to get our foot in the door, that's less action heavy, a little bit more dialogue heavy, things that you would generally
and now
see.
is that and you're talking about the viability of it, because attention is currency, and so you're not going to be compromising. You're going to be finding a niche that it's going to still draw in a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be something that we want to work on and want to make, but maybe not be where we want to end up. So eventually, I don't write off everything that we've worked on so far, and I don't think it is something that we can show to people and like, hey, we make cool stuff. We're good at making cool stuff. But it's still, me as a filmmaker wouldn't look at someone who's made a few short films and think that they can automatically make a feature. Like, that's not a logical jump for me, just because we have an idea of how much would go into a feature, and it's a lot more work. It's a totally different mindset. So I understand that first feature being your proof, that you can do it, and then we'll bring in our short films and like, this is more what we want to be making. Our next feature will be closer to that, and then our next feature will be closer to that. It is a long term getting to where we want to go.
So just for today, because we're going to be following you. So I'm just, you coming back to home. So the name of your home, the name of your company now was, where did that name come from?
Abundant House.
Abundant House.
It took a long time to get to. We've been talking about rebranding for like a year before we came to it. So the house obviously stands for a lot of things. It's family. We're family oriented. We're a family who works together. It's also, related to production house and structure and what do you call that, stable, being stable,
Yeah.
which is a big part of what we want to do in building structure. The abundant part is about what kind of we believe about life and what we want for our company, you know.
So you don't have your worldview is not of lack.
Yeah, exactly.
Your worldview is
There's a lot of ideas. There's abundance of money. There's abundance of time. There's
you
abundance
can increase
of
the
people.
pie.
There's always more.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's what we want. We want an abundance of teamwork, an abundance of films, an abundance. That's what we want for.
Yeah, and we want to invite other people into that. We wanted it to be something that felt very welcoming, and something that felt very family friendly, very open to new ideas and creativity, and just something that we hope can kind of grow into kind of like an artist playground kind of thing, where we like really long term, we really want to be able to be the people who are looking at young artists who are doing something similar to what we're doing now, and see that they're worth investing in, and kind of bringing them into what we're doing and fostering that.
Have you explored the value that you could bring to multi-generational families about teaching them filmmaking as well, but across multi-generations in one family unit? You know, just so
That sounds fun.
Because that's what you've done, and I don't know if anyone else is out there doing it. And it sounds simple, but I think that would meet a need out there. You know, that there might be some interest. If anyone out there is interested, again, you can contact them. So how we wrap up these things is we have this pearl of wisdom, we call it. It's a didactic, you know, like in homeschooling. It's just so we'll finish off with, where will you be in 3 months' time when we visit with you again, and what do you need and what do you want to meet those goals then, and then to prep for the next step ahead?
3 months. What I need is a completed script in 3 months. That's where we are at this point. So I need a lot of ideas, and a lot of the right ideas, because you can have a bajillion ideas and none of them are the right one. So a speedy process in finding the right ideas. And I have a lot of help in that already, so, but even more help. Yeah, so that's our 3 months, yeah. We need a script.
In 3 months, I need to have a really good idea of who I'm pitching to, and know what I need to say to be pitching to them, and have the right idea to be pitching.
How much do you need?
I need probably between $60,000 and $80,000, which is not very much in the grand scheme of things. So I know
100 would be nice.
100 would be nice.
I'd go for 250.
I want to be mindful of starting too big. I want to start at a reasonable distance from where we finished, and grow from there. I think that we can easily make that. But I need to know more than I do right now. And so in 3 months, I need to know enough to make that much money, to pitch for that much money, which I'm very confident we can do.
So when we visit with you again in 3 months' time, we should also have some news maybe back about some of those other competitions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So
Hopefully a couple of them. Some of them are 6 months out.
So what we'll do is, as soon as we find out, we'll ping out on our social media site about everything any updates for you, and then we'll visit with you. And by that time, Bob will still be not here yet. But
No, not quite. I'm 4.5 months still got to go.
Right.
So,
So that's going to be exciting for us to sort of share it. And then after that,
yep.
baby will be brand new. And
Yeah.
so everyone out there will be definitely like family following your new baby.
We'll have to bring our babies, because they're double cousins. Our babies
Yes.
are double cousins.
That's fantastic, because we consider Tall Poppy to be like a family for entrepreneurs, and so we're all the aunties and uncles for your babies. So look forward to visiting with you in 3 months' time. Thank you for visiting with us today, and it's just a beautiful story, and
Thank you.
I'm excited about where you guys can go, because 82 films, and one of them had 2.7 million views. And you're just doing it because you just love doing it. Isn't that inspiring? So this is going to be a fun journey to follow. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for watching the video. I know that you're excited in following these people. Hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in your journey too.